Here we go. That took some time. That took way too long, but we're here now. All right, let me put YouTube over. All right, one thing I have not done, I haven't looked at the news. I haven't looked at what's going on. Nothing. From the second I got in the office today, it's been head down. So I don't know what's going on. Any new news today? Ramos Randy, God bless, my man. Anything happened today that exciting in the news? Justin, what's going on? How's everybody's Monday? Is Monday off to a good start? Do you look forward to Mondays? That's changed for me. I used to look forward to Fridays and, couldn't stand when Monday began. Now I'm like the opposite. When Friday hits, I'm like, I kind of want more days in the week to get stuff done. Bring Chad and JT back on. When we launch the Mikey Days podcast, Chad and JT are going to be first in line. Maybe I launch with them. Do the marble episode. Rare Rochi, what's up, my man? Mikey, let's talk about personal finance and development. Wood guy, hit me. What are we talking about? What do you want to talk about with personal finance? What do you want to talk about with money? Bilbo Backends, what's up? No one got hurt in LA from the hurricane. Did anybody see? I'm in LA. We didn't get much. We got a little bit of rain and a little bit of wind. It was like mellow on my end. Did it get bad where you were? I saw some photos of Mexico that looked, honestly, if you looked at like PCH, there were so many people in the water. Like I didn't look at it, but looked like we got good surf. Let's talk taxes. So done with this. Yeah, done with paying taxes. I hear you. What's your guys' thought on taxes? Every time I talk about taxes, I get a lot of haters that come out. A lot of haters come out when I talk about taxes. Do you guys like paying taxes? I guess that's the first part. The second part, do you think people pay too high in taxes? Should taxes come down? Do you think there should be a flat rate? Do you think our tax code, there's too many incentives in our tax code? What do you guys think? Flat tax. I always thought a flat tax made the most sense personally. That one always seemed like a no-brainer to me. What do you think about investing in natural diamonds? You know what? Have you seen like anybody seen any of the lab-grown diamonds? They're so similar to real diamonds, natural diamonds. I'm curious to see how that changes demand. Part of me feels like natural diamonds, they're going to lose a ton of demand, which I think may bring prices down. No, I don't invest in diamonds though. No, I don't. You feel the earthquakes on Sunday. I did feel the earthquakes. I had just gotten in my car. I hadn't driven off yet. My car started shaking. I was like, at first I thought somebody was like messing with me. I was like, looked around, and then the next one hit that was like pretty. I was like, okay, here we go. Here's some shakes. But yeah, I felt it. I met you in 2009 at Tampa Pro. You're an awesome person. Thank you. I appreciate you. Still got steezy switch flips like Malto. I can still switch flip. Yeah. Flat tax. That's right. One of my rich friends told me, don't do real estate and invest into stocks. It's made more money for him than real estate. Well, possibly. It's really hard to compare. Well, there's so much to that. If you took an investment in the stock market that was as close to the same risk as the strategy you were using in real estate, you'd have to compare those two. And then you'd have to compare probably the net, like the actual dollars that go into your pocket, because there's tax efficiency that real estate gives you that the stock market doesn't. So you've got to kind of consider that. A lot of people call it like $2-for-$1, right? But I mean, maybe like real estate, look, at the end of the day with real estate is a very boring investment. Like a lot of the big players look at real estate as a bond alternative. Like it's really how a lot of them view it. The only thing that really can make real estate exciting from an investment standpoint is leverage. That's it. It's financial leverage. And with that, you have to be careful. But, can you see greater returns in the stock market that you can in real estate? Yes, in theory you can, because I think the stock market allows you to take on more risk than real estate will. And so you have to consider that. The stock market is liquid. Like there's nothing that stops you from selling. It might not be like the best time to sell, but you can get your money out. You can't do that in real estate. So, but it's not I would never compare, like what I try to stay away from examples comparing the stock market to real estate because it's not a fair comparison. But for me, I like real estate. I've always liked real estate more than the stock market, but that's by and large because of the risk element to it. So, look, real estate may not be for you. Way too high, flat rate. Hello, Captain. Andrew, what's going on? Hello, Mikey. I just turned 19, August 5th. I've never had a credit card and would love to start building credit. Not sure where to start. I have over 10K saved in the bank. The Professor 36. You might have to start with a secured credit card. Basically, it's like as close to a debit card as you're going to get. You have to put money in, and then you can draw from that money. It will slowly build your credit, which will allow you to take out an unsecured credit card where you actually get to start spending on credit. So I would just go to your bank or look for options of a secured credit card, open it up, start basically with that. And then once you have enough credit where you can open up an unsecured credit card, I've done a whole YouTube video if you want to go and look at it on basically everything you need to know to build good credit. There's really a few things that you have to pay attention to. This is going to be the game changer. No matter what, this is the rule that I've always followed. It's done well for me. Pay your credit card off every single month. Don't use your credit card as a loan payment system. Only buy something that you can absolutely afford that month. Pay for it on your credit card. Pay the full bill every single month, no matter what. That alone is going to build good credit for you. The second largest thing that you need to know is even though a credit card company gives you a credit limit, don't spend the entire limit. You actually want to keep it below 30%. So if the credit card gives you a limit of $1,000, you don't want to spend more than $300. Going above that will actually not help your credit. And so keep to those two, and those are really like the biggest driving factors. But if you want to know everything that goes into a good credit score, go onto my YouTube channel. I've got a whole video on it. Don't invest in natural diamonds. Lab grown is taking some of the more. Yeah, that's exactly right. I live in Canada and we pay a lot more tax than Americans. I know. That's right. Thoughts on Curran Caples joining FA? I saw that. Curran and Jake. I'm stoked for them. I don't know. I think that's cool. I like that Curran and Jake are bros, and they've been bros since they were kids, and they run that. I mean, I honestly heard about it a while ago. I think Louis is basically kind of now picking the team and driving that forward. So I thought that made sense. It's impossible to compare real estate and stocks. That's correct. I know. It's funny because somebody asked me a question, I spend time on it, then I go below the comments and you guys are commenting a lot of the things I'm saying, which is amazing. That means I have some people that are in this that you could either look at it as we're on the same page or you guys know what's going on. I would probably say both. Do you think tiny homes, Tesla homes, Amazon homes could solve the housing crisis? Would the public embrace it? It's a good question. That's a really good question. No, it's not going to solve the housing crisis alone. I think it helps. Look, at the end of the day, the housing crisis comes from a lack of supply. That is the housing crisis. Then you have a challenge where the cost of building the real estate it's too expensive. So you're a lot of developers aren't taking the risk to build because the return's not there. What needs to happen, in my perspective? There's a lot of land that you basically need to rezone. I think you need to deregulate, and I think you need to just let builders build. In some markets, it's going to be easier than others, but that's the first thing. The challenge with that, though, is cities don't like that. Like there's a lot of people in a community that don't want, zoning to change. They don't want a multifamily apartment in an area that typically wasn't. But if we're really talking about the housing crisis and solving the housing crisis, the only way it'll be solved is by adding supply. That's the only way. So the question just becomes, how do you put developers in a position to build? And then once there's basically enough supply, you start seeing prices come down because developers overdevelop. That's what they do. They build and then they build too much and then it becomes saturated and then prices come down. And so, there's the different schools of thoughts are a city. You see a lot of people that are more like pro-government and government should solve the problem. They typically look at affordable housing. The government basically needs to come in and push more affordable housing, and they think that limiting basically what you can charge will be the solution to the problem. Other people like myself, I think supply is the solve. I think no matter what, you have to create more supply so that it actually reaches where the demand is, or you see real estate pricing run up. So the tiny homes, now, I'm not sure I don't know. I need to spend some more time thinking about the tiny homes. I've seen them. I don't think they look good. But it seems like it's just a smaller footprint of an already expensive home, right? What really needs to happen is somebody needs to figure out, where I think like maybe Tesla, possibly Amazon's on this, is like, how do you actually bring the cost to the build down, right? Like, how do you build it for 50 cents on the dollar? Then we're going to start getting then it's going to start helping, but it's really scale. And the way you really solve scale, I think right now in real estate is multifamily. You get the density option. Tyler Johnson, real estate makes the most millionaires, not the stock market. Real estate actually does make a lot of millionaires. Stock market makes billionaires and millionaires. Average guy, actually, the stock market, it's business that makes billionaires. It's people that build business makes billionaires. Now you can make the argument that when a business goes public, you're talking a whole new flow of capital. But starting business creates billionaires. Real estate creates millionaires. All billionaires invest in real estate, though. Tyler, what do you think about opening a church and doing all of your business through the church? Legally tax exempt. Enlighten me if I'm off and it's not that black and white. Well, I would say if you're going to start a church, you should start a church for the reason of starting a church. I don't know if I would start a church to funnel dollars that I want to create a business through that church for tax reasons. That's not good. Now you're getting into like Scientology land. Look, there's a lot of incentive to just start a business. I would just say start the business. That's what I would say. But I don't know. Like you see a lot of these like tax videos on TikTok that are like, hire your kids and pay them, $15,000 a year. And then like you could actually deduct the expense, and how I don't pay taxes by paying my kids. At the end of the day, like the IRS is not stupid, and you need to ask yourself, like, am I hiring my kid are they actually doing the work? And then is what I'm paying them for actually worth the price tag, right? I don't know. I'm a believer that like you try to get away with stuff like that, it's only a matter of time till you get popped. My grandfathers were successful commercial real estate investors, and they never bothered with residential rentals because it was just a burden. Sweet Jane 519. It takes, well, look, management of our storage units is different than management of our multifamily. That is true. If you're talking residential, I don't know if you're talking about commercial residential versus actual residential, like homes. We don't invest in homes. I tend to agree with you. I think management of homes is more difficult than management of investment of multifamily. But I like multifamily. Like, what a lot of people ask me, because when we started Commune, the first platform we started was multifamily. And I had already been investing in storage at that point. I was investing I was lending on real estate as well. But I wanted the first portfolio to be multifamily. How I looked at it was, there were a few factors. First and foremost, I wanted an asset that was going to perform well during a recession. That my experience going through the financial crisis, 2008, was I didn't want to make money and then lose money and just go through straight devastation through downturns. I wanted investments that were going to be able to get through downturns. My experience with storage was so great. It's like I went through 2008 and like didn't even trip. So I like investments that do well through that. Multifamily, historically performs well through recessions, through downturns. So I liked it for that reason. Now, when you compare multifamily to storage, the cost to build multifamily is more expensive than storage. It's like, I don't know, storage is like 50 cents on the dollar to build. And then the management of storage is a little bit different than managing where somebody lives. But what I liked about multifamily, I liked that there was an ability to add like more creativity to it. Like at the end of the day, storage units are a bunch of garages, where multifamily, it's where people live. And you talk about like experience, the ultimate experience is where someone lives. So I liked the idea of what I felt like was one part of my skill set, which was creating places that people enjoy living, and almost like a blend onto, at least the millennial generation is who I was focused on when we started the company. Like, what aspects of living do my generation, millennials, want? And some of the stuff is obvious, like we're like more amenity rich, we're more like experience based. I think a lot of us want to, live in areas that have a cool vibe. Like content creation was a big one for me. Like, how do you have an apartment where people, if they want to create content, they pull it up and everything looks great? I don't know. I was driven towards that on the multifamily side. So although I wouldn't invest in single family, I do like multifamily a lot. If I use a hard money lender to finance a rental, should I use for 20% down or BRRRR? It depends. It all depends. I have a close friend of mine. He does a lot of flips. He uses hard money for his flips. I think for you, it's all about assessing the risk. That's all. Like considering the numbers work. What's the risk if things go wrong? And are you comfortable taking on that risk? That's really, and then does the potential return match that risk profile? That's really all you have to consider. So I run the numbers, understand the risk, and if you're comfortable taking it, then you got to make that decision. What are your thoughts on investing in property tax liens? No experience in it. So not many thoughts, not really my forte. I'm Winnipeg. Developers are busy in Winnipeg. Not totally. Do you have rentals in Cincinnati? We don't have rentals in Cincinnati. We have a storage property in Ohio. We had a massive mall. We owned a mall in Cleveland, right outside of Cleveland, that we were going to scrape and then build a ton of apartments on. We ended up selling it. We sold it last year. So no more multifamily in Ohio. The housing crisis will only be solved when the math can work. At this point in NYC, there's no incentive to develop, so the math doesn't make sense. Yeah, Kathy, yeah, that's another thing. Like, an investor's job is to make money. That's what investors do. And so, anytime there's risk at play where you can't make money, you don't do it. And so, yeah, in New York, it's, in a lot of cases, doesn't make sense to build. It doesn't make sense to build. There's not going to be supply. And then the government has to figure out ways. There's something that's going on with California. This is something that's interesting, right? They're creating what's it called? They had a name for it. It's basically, it's like building projects, but I can't remember that. Social housing or something like that was what they're trying to do. And the frustration that the state has is the state is going to look at, I'm speaking for California right now. The state looks at prices, right? They're going to look at rent, let's say. And let's say they're going to look at me and go, Mikey, you and Commune are building this new apartment. You're charging, $2,100 to $2,500, for rent. That's too high. We need you to charge $1,600, right? And I'm going to look at the city and go, I'm not going to build the project at $1,600. I don't make any money. I can't do that. The cost of building this thing is too high, and that basically is the frustration where, the city is really pushing towards a certain percentage of affordable housing, which means rents are capped. So if market rent is here and you can only charge here, all of that the developer's swallowing, right? Or you can say the developer's subsidizing. And that's a big challenge because you just can't get the rents that the city wants you to get. And so the state right now is saying, okay, we're going to create a program, and now nonprofits are going to build real estate, or the government or nonprofits. And by doing that, we don't have to worry about rents coming in below the cost to build because we don't have to worry about profit. And then we can hit the numbers we want to hit. And so that's what seems like the state of California is looking at doing. But, my view on it, every time you've ever seen the government do anything, it takes them longer and it's way more expensive. Like, it never ends up being as good of an experience for the consumer, the tenant. The best thing, in my perspective, the way to give the consumer the best experience is to create competition, right? Create competition, and now companies are fighting or competing against each other to give the best product or service at the cheapest price to the consumer. That's how the consumer wins. The government, they're not competing with anyone, so you don't see that same experience bleed out. I just don't see that working. I think the only way to really solve this is freaking open it up. Open it up, let people build supply, and give people options. Like, think about how it would be if you were looking for a house right now. Like right now, you put an offer in on a house, there's like 18 other offers. What's going to happen when there's 18 other offers? The seller or the broker is going to call everybody back and go, hey, there's 18 offers. Do you want to put in a higher bid? Everyone's going to go, there's 17 other people that want this house. Okay, I'll raise my offer. And then they're going to keep pushing last and final. And what's going to happen? That house is going to sell for 100, 200,000 more than over asking, right? That's because of demand. Well, what happens if there are so many homes that somebody puts one on the market and they don't get any offers at all? What are they going to do to the price? They're going to bring it down. What happens if only one person offers? There's no one else. The seller has no leverage. So I think supply is the way. But what do I know? I'm just a skater who figured out how to start companies, I don't know. What do you guys think? What's the consumer is tapped out? Chad Dexter, I feel you on that one. 100%. I 1000% feel you. What's the guy's name whose video went viral? The musician, the Rich Man from Richmond. Is that what it's called? The redhead guy with the beard. Rich Man from Richmond. Why do you think that video is going so viral? Because what he's saying is resonating with so many people. It was you have inflation running at the rate it is. And, all media says, oh, inflation's coming back. It's coming back. So now it's, only down to a little over 3%. What they leave out is how much more expensive it is today than 2 years ago, right? We're feeling that whole gap, and that gap's not going away. Like that's here now. And then when you don't have income matching that, we're all challenged. So I feel you on it 100%. What's the name of the guy who did that video that's going viral? Anthony. What's his last name? Anthony what? Rich man from, what's it called? Rich man from what? Richmond north of Richmond. Richmond north of Richmond. What's the guy's name? Somebody's got to know this. No, nobody's not. Oliver Anthony. Okay. Richmond North. Yeah, that's right. The government has fallen apart, and China is proving us up. The U.S. political system is a Chinese puppet. Okay, Logan, the government has fallen apart. The government, in my perspective, has just become too big. It's too big. It's too bloated. There's too many people eating off of it. China, I'm not like, for a lot of people that think China is our greatest adversary, that's our biggest risk. I agree with that. But I don't think China is in that healthy of a position. I think China has so many issues. I think their economy is on the brink of collapse or possibly in collapse now, and we're not hearing about it. Their population growth issue is devastating for them. That, you talk about destroying an economy, and look, I get like the U.S. we're facing something similar as well, the depopulation, right? If the population isn't growing, that will destroy an economy. A lot of the economy is built off population growth, more people coming into the system, right? If I don't think China's healthy at all. It's feeling like 1789 outside lately. You think so? In what way? Oliver, rich man, right. Do you think getting into real estate after high school is smart, or waiting a couple years for more capital? Owen, it depends what you're going to do in real estate. If real estate's where you want to be, right out of high school, I would go work for somebody doing it. I would learn everything you can and then start doing your own projects, is what I would say. Inflation compounds. Yeah, we are at 3% on top of the last 9. Correct. Oliver Anthony. There we go. Do a kickflip. Actually, you know what? Crap. I said I was going to do a kickflip. I told everybody on Friday I was going to do a kickflip, and I didn't. Shoot. Where's the skateboard? I don't think I have a board at the office. Crap. When I get home, I'll try to do a kickflip. Never heard of him. Sweet Jane. Never heard of him. I've been seeing this. This dude's going like viral, isn't he? Favorite switch trick. I like switchback tails. Evergrande did collapse. That's right. Look, going back to China, a big thing they did when you talk about economic growth, they would build all these cities that no one was going to live in for years. Their expectation was, let's build them, put it on the books. This is growth, and then over time we'll slowly move people into these cities. The ghost cities are crazy. Like when I was in China, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like going to these cities that were beautiful, right? Big buildings, no one in them. I'm not. Yeah, we have way too much government. That's what's killing the economy. That's what I think too. I think so. Holy shit, you responded to me. That's cool. But yes, I agree with you. You are the first politician to ever respond to me, and that means a lot. Logan Benson, legend. I got you. Mikey Taylor, how does one balance dating and friends while trying to build a business? Oh man, if there is a question that is more relative to what happened to me today, this is it. This is hard, Andy. This is a very hard one to do. So as far as dating goes, when I was trying to be a pro skateboarder, there was no dating. There was nothing. There was skateboarding 24/7 only. There's no balance. That's all I was doing. I don't think you can have balance when you're trying to create something. The reason why I say that is, and look, I'll say it for skateboarding, but I'm struggling with it in a different scenario now with my business. If you're trying to create anything, you want to be a pro athlete, you want to create a business, you're competing with so many other people that want it as well. And you really have to ask yourself, what am I willing to do that the person next to me is not? Almost everyone trying to build something that has a chance of success are going all in. They're not worrying about other things. So I don't think it's possible to have balance at times. Now, that's not always. I think there's points where you get back to having balance. The friends one is difficult, and I'm going to talk specifically on the friends because there's something that I did today that I think is going to help. So for me, I've had moments in my life where I had great balance. I had moments in my life where I had no balance. Pro skateboarder, no balance. After skateboarding, a ton of balance. Then I had to go back into starting a business, and I was off balance a little, but I was really trying to make sure my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my kids, and my relationship with my friends was doing well and building a business. And it was hard. This last, I would say 6 months ago, starting this year, I've gone back into an off-balance cycle. And that's really because of a couple reasons. One, there's an opportunity right now in real estate and with my business that I think is not going to be here for long. And I'm not sure I'm going to see it for a long time. And so I'm going head down, all in on capturing this opportunity in front of us. That mixed with me taking on a second job, which was city council, my time is very, very limited. So, but what I'm going to add on to that, I'm not willing to not be there with my wife or my kids. So that part was non-negotiable. Everything else is going into this. So my friendships are actually what's off balance right now. And what I did today, and I just think this is the only way to do it. I had my assistant come in today, and we went through all of my relationships and basically put my relationships into a CRM. And I now have Tawny basically creating schedules and reminders for me to reach out to people because, look, I care about my friends. Like there's people that I care about that I will just forget because life is moving at such a crazy rate that it's almost like by the time you come up for a breath, 5 months has gone by and you haven't hit anybody up. So I'm trying that one. I just went through this today where I'm going to create an actual system that forces me to make sure I'm spending time reaching out to those I care about. I'll let you know how it goes, but that's how I think I'm going to at least solve that part of it. But to answer your question, that's a very long way of saying having a well-balanced life always, you will not be able to create anything very big if that's at play. If you're going to build something, the truth is there will be times in your life where you're not balanced, or if you want to build them quickly, right? Like if you're like, hey, look, Mikey, I want to build something. I want to retire and be financially free at 35, 40. You're having zero balance until 40. It just will not be possible for you. But if you want to basically stretch that out, then you could have more balance. And there's no right or wrong, right? Like if you've got a good work-life balance, I have a lot of friends that have that, right? Every Friday they're golfing with their friends. What they're doing allows them to have a good kind of life experience. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what they're looking for. An economy that's left alone and not manipulated or messed up with by the government will be just fine on its own. It's like an ecosystem. Kathy, I completely agree with you. I share the same views. More power back to the people, less government involvement. That's my view as well. Correct. No such thing as balance with your all in. I think so as well. To be great, you have to be obsessed with that thing. I totally agree. Unbalance is necessary to get ahead, 100%. if you're consistent, you have more space to have balance in your life. I feel like I'm pretty consistent, and I feel like I have a lot of systems at play right now to allow me to be consistent and efficient. I'm still off balance right now, though. There's just only so much time in a day, and so you've just asked yourself, if you're spending time with friends and going out and vacations, all of that time could be spent towards the opportunity. And so you just have to factor that in. What helps you most with time management between family and business? Really, really good question. So the very first thing that helped, and honestly, this came post skateboarding. Like, I was very, very obsessed to try to become a pro skateboarder. And then when I became a pro skateboarder, the obsession didn't go away. So truthfully, I had 14 years of my life, no longer than that. From me becoming a pro, 14 years from that point was unbalanced. And it was difficult. It was difficult on my marriage, difficult on my kids. Knowing what I know now, I would have changed it. And I'm experiencing now on the other side what life looks like with more balance. To answer your question, I had to prioritize my wife and kids above all. And when I was skating, I didn't. I prioritized skating first, and then my wife and kids came second. And so changing that order did a lot. And then there were non-negotiables, right? Like when I was skating, I skated 24/7. I never missed a day. Unless I physically couldn't skateboard, there were no days missed. I started having to give up some time when I started St. Archer, but starting St. Archer this will show you how off balance I was. Starting St. Archer didn't take any time away from my wife and kids. It took time away from skateboarding. And that's because everything went towards skateboarding. And that almost broke my marriage. And I feel like I'm wiser now because of it, but that's just, that was what got me here, right? Now, what I do is I do not work on Sundays at all. Zero work done on Sundays. Saturdays, for the most part, I'm not working. If there's a case where I have to work, I'm talking with Jen and basically saying, hey, babe, I think I'm going to have to work on Saturday, but it's not a normal thing for me. Now, Monday through Friday, it's go time for me. I'm in at the office between 6:30 and 7. My head is down until I leave, usually around between 5 or 6. And then even in the time I spend in the office, I've gotten a lot better at my time management. The question on how do I do my time management, I basically I'm starting to do this almost every 6 months, but it's trending towards a quarter. I go through basically all of my priorities, all the time blocking with Tawny, and then we reprioritize, or we might change the list and then change the schedule accordingly. That has been huge for me. And then really what that means is like looking at what is the best use of my time and then making sure I'm maximizing that. And then if there's anything that I'm spending time on that either one, doesn't produce a high return, or two, I can put somebody else into doing it aside from me, we're reworking the schedule. A big thing for me, I'll give you guys context on something very specific. So because of social media and even because of my industry and people now know who I am in the industry, I have a lot of people reaching out to me, right? A lot of DMs, a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls to the office, a lot of text messages of people wanting to talk to me. And that was a lot of time spent for me. It would be like, emails, responding to emails. Hey, can we get together? Hey, can I pick your brain? Hey, can we grab coffee? DMs, messages, etc. I had to completely take that off my plate. And because I was so much time of the day was just going towards that. And so what I changed was anyone reaching out to me goes to Tawny. And then once they reach Tawny basically says, hey, what is the purpose of getting together with Mikey, and what is your desired outcome? And then depending on those two answers, then that may line up a meeting with me, or it may get pushed down into the future. Just that alone has changed everything for me, because now if I have a meeting with somebody, we know that it aligns with what our priorities are as a company. And then if it's not, it's just, we don't have time to meet right now. That was a big one. So the reason why Tawny helps me with that, though, I'm not an operator. Like, I am not naturally an efficient person. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to get obsessed with it, and I have an ability to bring a bunch of people with me, and I could drive us forward fast. It's sloppy, though. It's sloppy energy. So I have to have those people around me from the offset, or the onset, I guess. Thank you for everything you do. You're an inspiration, Mikey. I'll catch you later. Logan, have a phenomenal rest of the day. In Santa Ana, a good area to buy multifamily? Is Santa Ana a good area to buy multifamily? What's the lowest cash-on-cash return and cap rate you would accept in this market? Really good question. Santa Ana, I haven't looked at a market study in Santa Ana to really know where. I don't know much about this market. To answer your question, though, on what's the lowest cash-on-cash return or cap rate we would do, right now we're looking at, for projects that we're building, we want to see yield on cost be somewhere between, I don't know, let's call it 7 and 8%. Is what we want to see yield on cost be. A cap rate that we're not buying stabilized projects right now. Buying something at a 5 cap, it doesn't make sense to us on how expensive the interest payment is. So I guess to answer your question, you can answer it on yield on cost. Until cap rates go up to where it doesn't make sense to build, we want to see 7-8%. And for those that don't know what yield on cost means, basically it's like building to the cap rate. You're building to the cap rate. So if something in the market offers a 5% cap rate, that means that from an unlevered basis, if you buy this thing in cash, it's going to spit off 5% every year, right? Yield on cost means considering the total cost to build it, then it's going to spit off that percentage. So if current cap rates are 5%, we want to see, let's call it a 2+% premium to build, I guess hopefully that made sense. Delegation at its finest, 100%. 100%. It's getting tricky. It is. I agree. I would love to be your video editor. Ruben, you know what? Heath is not going to like this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to give you an email, my guy, and this is who you're going to email. His name is Heath. And his email is heath@excel.com. Email Heath. Tell him you want to edit videos. Right now, what we're trying to do is I want to spend more time on my YouTube channel, actually. Like, YouTube, having the time you have in long form, I think you can add a lot more value. So I've been spending a lot more time building out content for YouTube. Right now, we have a marketing team with our business that does all of our filming, editing, posting, etc. But for my personal brand, I don't. And so, YouTube is one that I really want to build. If everyone on Instagram isn't following me on YouTube, give me a follow if you don't mind. Like, I'm really trying to put effort into creating really good quality content on the educational side on YouTube. So if you guys don't follow me, please follow me there. All right, what was the most challenging part of passing from skating all day to starting a business? The most challenging part was, I would say, 2 parts. One, you're working out when you're skating. Like, skating every day, you're in good shape by default. In the office, you're not. Like, most of my day is spent like this, sitting down. And so that was challenging. And then I think the second part that was hard was teams. Like, with skating, I didn't have to worry about a team. I just had to worry about myself. With a business, it's all about a team. It's not about you. And so learning how to work with people was not easy for me. That did not come natural. I found you on YouTube. Ledge Kathy, thank you. What's your YouTube? It's just Mikey Taylor is my YouTube. I've got the same photo for as I do on my Instagram. And the last video I just posted, I interviewed my wife. 18 minutes of me interviewing my wife about college. What her experience was, how expensive it was, if she thinks it was worth it. I've never interviewed her before, and it happened like a total fluke. She was working in the office, and I was about to film something, and she sat down. We just basically hit go. All right. Yeah, I'm in your YouTube. I'm friends with BMX rider Dennis Enarison. Have you heard of him? Now he's on. I haven't heard of him. I'll check him out. Dennis. Okay, I'll check him out. All right, everybody. My wife was here working. I just watched her leave, talking about balance. Austin, what's up, my man? We're doing well. Thank you. I'm going to jump off, though. I'm going to go back, see wifey, see the kids, and then probably do some work after that. Have a phenomenal Monday, everyone. I don't think I'm going to be able to do a live tomorrow, Wednesday. Let's jump on if you guys are around.